Today we're going to look at how we add dimensions, which are the measurements, to our drawings. As you can see, we've got the three different views of our part, which is for this. Now it's drawn to scale, which means the drawing, as you can see, is the exact size of the part. So now the first thing that we need to do is talk about what dimensions are. The dimensions are basically measurements that go on your page to let people know what the size of everything is. Now, we can use this to do our dimensions, but since it was already drawn to this size, we can just use the lines that we've already got. So I can take my scale or my ruler and I can just start measuring. Now this first line, the length of it is an inch. Now with dimensions, this is how you want to structure them. You want to have a line that comes up off of it, and we're going to bring this one up about 1/4 of an inch, but we want to have a small, about a 1/16 of an inch gap between our part and our dimension line. So right like that. Remember, notice the small gap between our part and our dimension line. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Give it a little bit of space. Now we've got these two like field goal posts that stick up off of our part. Now our dimension is going to go in the middle of it, and we decided it was 1 inch. So the first thing I'm going to do is write 1.000. Now you've got to have what's called leader lines. Those are going to be lines, and they also should be drawn straight, so I'll use my ruler to draw from about the center. It's just a straight line that leads to my dimension line. And now I would also draw arrows that pretty much just tell whoever's reading the blueprint that our 1 inch is from here to here. So that's what your first step should look like. Now if we were going to go vertical, it is 1 3/4. So I'll do the same thing with my dimension lines. I'll come about almost 1/8 off, and I'll draw it about 1/4 of an inch. Let me turn this around so you can see it better. I'll come off about a 1/16, almost 1/8, and I'll start at my just one of the halfway marks, and I'll draw to 1/4. Now notice how my dimension lines are parallel and in line with my part lines. Now just like this one, we're going to write what the dimension is next, which was 1.750, 1 3/4. Now we want to go back and draw our leader line. As you can see, it didn't quite reach the end of that, so we just want to go in and make that line just a little bit longer. We'll do the same up top to make them uniform. We add our arrows. And that's how you dimension. Now the things to keep in mind, once again, we've got a gap in both those spots. We've also got a gap in both those spots. We've drawn them straight out parallel to the lines that we measured. Same thing here, parallel with the lines, all in line and parallel. We've got our leader lines that lead close to our numbers but not into our numbers. And then we've got arrows where our dimension lines are. Now, because we've already told it the width from here to here, we don't have to tell it from here to here because it's the same. So if we went ahead and added another dimension, and we'll start with drawing our leader line and let's measure it from this line to this line is 1 3/4, and as we can see up here, it's also 1 3/4. Let's go ahead and draw our leader line. Now let's do it all in line with this 1-inch one. So I left the gap in the middle, and that is for our 1.750. So because we've dimensioned it here, we don't have to dimension it here. Now we would do this for all of our lines all the way around, all of our dimensions, our overall widths and heights. We would also want to dimension where our holes are from the center. So this first hole, and we're just going to guess for now, we can hold it up to the 0. The center of the hole seems to be at about the 1/2 inch mark. So when I go to actually dimension that, I'll draw a leader line off the edge because that's where we measured from. And then I'm going to do dashed lines. Actually, I'm going to do a solid line all the way down from the center of the hole. Maybe go a little bit longer. So as you can see, our lines are a little bit uneven. That's a good thing about doing this in pencil. We'll just erase back till they're pretty close. Now we said it was a 1/2 inch. Now unfortunately it's going to be kind of hard to squeeze a 1/2 inch right there. So what we can do is go ahead and draw a leader line all the way across. We can do that, that, and we can write over here 0.500, and then we just draw that. So that tells us that the 1/2 inch is in here, and that tells us from the edge of the part to the center of the hole. And we would want to do that. We could do it from the edge. We could just draw our leader line longer and do it to the edge of each hole, or we could go from hole to hole lengthwise. So this is how your blueprint dimensions should be structured, but you should have a lot more by the time you're done. If you have any questions, make sure you ask.